amazing people. Welcome to my live session. Happy new week. It's a new week, it's a blessed week. The Lord is faithful, the Lord is gracious. Welcome to my live session. How have you been? How was your week? I hope you had a beautiful week. I hope you had an amazing week. I also had a blessed week, and I'm so grateful to God for the privilege and for the gift of life and the gift of a new week. What are you grateful to God for? You're welcome to my live session. My name is Ini, and this is Parenting with Ini. Here we get to talk on exclusively parenting conversations. Okay, so if you are a parent aspiring to be a parent someday, or you just enjoy parenting conversations, then you are definitely at the right place. So welcome to my live session. I want you to feel so welcomed. I want you to feel belonged. I want you to feel a part of this space. Please enjoy and feel belonged, okay? Feel comfortable. It's a very beautiful space to be in, a place where we can talk as parents. We get to share, on our parenting ideas. So please feel free in this space. You're welcome. All right. So, and then now, before we get into today's conversation, I would like to just quickly lay out the rules of this live session or of this channel. First of all, if you have not subscribed, right now you could just check, have I subscribed to this channel? Have I? Yes. So you need to answer that question. If you have not subscribed, please go directly to that button, that subscribe button. Just click on it and please ensure you subscribe to this channel, especially if you are a parent, you desire to be a parent someday, or you just enjoy parenting conversations, then this channel will be very impactful for you. So go ahead and subscribe, okay? Yes. Number 2 rule, if you join this live session, table your attendance by liking the video. That's how you mark attendance. Like the video. Simple. Just like, okay? That's the best way for me to know that you have registered your attendance. Okay, so please just like the video as you come in. Number 3 rule is that you can't keep quiet in this space. I want this space to be very interactive. This live session, I want it to be very, very interactive. So let's keep the live session very engaging by dropping your comments in the chat section. Just say hi. Even if you have nothing else you want to say, just say hi. Say hi, let me know you're here. I just want to know you're here. I just want to welcome you. I just want to give you a shout out. Like, I just want to know you're here. So just say hi. And if you have any parenting question, maybe you have a parenting question, you've been wanting to know another person's view on that particular concern or topic, please feel free. That's one of the reasons why we have this live session. Feel free and leave that comment in the comment section. Leave that question in the chat section. I'll be so happy to give you my honest view on it. Okay, so now that we know the rules of this channel, let's get into today's conversation. I'm hoping that you guys will come in. As many of you like the video, you subscribe to the channel, and you will say hello in the chat section. But as we wait for people to start speaking in the chat section, let's dive straight into the conversation so that we do not waste a lot of time. Okay, so the topic we are discussing today is taking your child to a daycare. The pros and the cons of taking your child to a daycare. Okay, that's what I want to discuss, especially in this in the Kenyan setting. Okay, that's what I want to discuss. All right, so I hope this conversation will be impactful. I hope that you get to share, we'll get to get one or two knowledge out of it to help you in your own parenting decisions and journey. Okay, now what's a daycare? Someone would probably ask. A daycare is a preschool, if I may use that word, where you take your child to, especially if your child is not yet of the age of officially starting to go to school. Okay, the child is not yet at the official school age. So a daycare is there for you to be able to still take your child there. But the main purpose of a daycare is actually to allow parents the flexibility, of still being able to run their errands, going to work, even though they have a little baby in their hands. Okay, yeah, so a daycare is there. You can, instead of having a nanny in the house or a housekeeper in the house, you can choose to take your child to a daycare, have them stay there. There are caregivers there. They stay with your child as you go to work, or as you run your errands, or just as you take some time off a baby and just rest. Then you can go back and pick your child later on. That's the main purpose of a daycare. It's a place where your child just goes and waits there for you as you do one or two without them, and then now go back to pick them. All right, a daycare. So it has caregivers. Instead of having one nanny in the house staying with your child, you take your child to where there are other children and several nannies, several caregivers staying with your child together with other people's children. So that's basically why we mostly have a daycare, okay? Because you get to see that there's some mothers or there's some parents who are so busy at work, yet you have a little baby, you have a 1-year-old baby, some even at as young as 6 months old, they are already taking the child to a daycare because for them, they have to go back to work and they don't want to have a nanny in the house, or probably they can't find a nanny, or for whatever reason it is, they choose to take the baby to a daycare. All right. Now, probably someone would ask, a daycare starts from what age? Now it differs with the daycare. Some daycares admit children from as young as 6 months old. Yes, some daycare admits children from as young as 6 months old, while some daycares will tell you from 1 year old. You see, a 1-year-old child is not eligible to start going to school in the Kenyan setting. That child is not eligible to start going to school, even a 2-year-old child. But now at 3 years old, the school provides something called a baby class or a foundation class, such a class. Okay, so that child goes to what is it called? So it depends on the school though. Some schools call it foundation class, some school call it a playgroup class, some school call it a baby class. So most schools nowadays have started introducing that particular class, in their schools. So now when a child is 3 years old, you can access taking the child to school from that age, because the child will start from a baby class. All right, and then now move to primary classes. So that's what happens. But from below 3 years, no child goes to school in Kenya. Like, there's no school that admits those kind of children. So what happens is that we have a daycare to bridge that gap. That gap, of between 1 to 3 years old. The daycare comes in to bridge the gap, tells you, bring the child, I'll stay with the child, you go to work, all that, and all your errands and everything, then come back in the evening and pick your child. We have a diverse number of childcare specialists around here. They can help look at your children for you as you go to your work, as you go for your errands, and then you come back and pick the child. So that's basically the work of a daycare. There's nothing much that is expected to happen in a daycare when it comes to the babies there, because they're not expecting to be learning, like, doing coloring or doing, those kinds of learning. That's not what they do in a daycare. A daycare is basically a child just playing, a child getting to, interact with other babies, playing with toys. Some of them, most of the time, you just put for them cartoon, they eat and they sleep. So you find most of those children in that daycare, they sleep a lot in the daycare. They do a lot of sleeping that happens there, playing, interacting with other children, watching cartoon, playing with toys. That's basically what they do. They don't do there's no formal learning that happens in a daycare. Learning now starts from now the baby class. Okay. Oh, I can see Willem. Hi, Willem. Hi, welcome to my to my live sessions. Thank you so much for saying hi, and thank you for joining. You're welcome. Please feel at home. All right, and let's enjoy the conversation together. All right, so yes, so that's basically what a daycare is all about. Okay, now, what are the pros? Like, what are the benefits of taking your child to daycare? Or rather, can we start by saying, at what age is appropriate for you to take your child to a daycare? Like I said, it depends on the parents and also the daycare you're taking your child to. At what age are they beginning to admit the children? But from where I sit as a child care specialist, I wouldn't encourage anyone to take a child to a daycare, any child below. Personally, honestly, let me be very honest with you. A child below 2 years, I would not advocate. Yeah, a child below 2 years, I wouldn't advocate. If you must really take your child to a daycare, maybe from 2 years old. The reason why I would say that, which probably now will bring out some of the the disadvantages of a daycare is that, number one, at 2 years, I feel like the baby's system, the immune system of the baby, the organs are now a bit more formed than it was when they were younger. So they are able to accommodate or able to handle some things. You see, when you take a child to a daycare, they interact with other people's children. You don't know these other children. You don't know how they're being taken care of at home. You don't know what they eat. You don't know, like, the environment where they live in. And so children are very easy to spread bacteria infections. Yeah, because of the things they easily touch, and all of those things. Bacterial infections spread so wide where children are meeting, where children are together. There's a very high tendency of infections, bacterial infections spreading all around. So imagine taking a group of like 10 children in one space. These children, you don't know these other children, but you know only your child. So your child would always come, probably most likely come always with, today it's a flu, tomorrow it's a cough, some tomorrow, the other day you're treating bacteria, the baby is on antibiotics. So that becomes more like a norm in your child's life. And so the more of these medications that we give our babies just to treat these issues, the immune system of that baby becomes more weaker. And you see, the baby is still very young. The immune was just trying to build, yet we are suppressing it with all these medications and all of those. So again, it becomes, now that's a medical problem that it can bring out. Your baby will probably always be battling with flus, with coughs, with bacterial infection here and there, every week, every month, and all of those. No parent honestly enjoys um treating a sick child. No parent. No parent enjoys treating a sick child. You see, it's very stressful. So for you to avoid that, that's why I would say, if a child is not 2 years old, personally, I would not advocate for that child to be taken to any school, daycare, or any school. Let the child be at home. Let the child be nursed at home. Let the child be nurtured at home. Then once they are from 2 years and you really have to leave the child in a daycare, or you really have to, leave the child in a daycare because probably of what you need to do, one or two, then maybe that would be a bit better. And that child is already grown. The child at least understands his or her environment a little bit much better compared to if the child was just 1 year old or few months old. Okay, so for me, that's the first reason why I would say, if a child is not 2 years and above, let the child not go to a daycare. Number two reason why I would advocate for 2 years and above is, and now this is like the pros, like this is now the advantage of a daycare, is that from 2 years old, the child just has like a year to be able to start going to school, because from 3 years old, you definitely find a proper school structure to admit your child. Okay, so between 2 years and 3 years, you see, that's just 1 year. So when you take your child to a daycare, if you really have to, one of the things that one of the advantages that you get is that you start preparing that child for school. You start preparing that child for school, and even preparing yourself as a parent for school, because you see, the child will probably need to wake up a bit earlier to get ready to be in a daycare. The child will start learning how to socialize with other children. The child will start learning how to stay in the same space with other children who they are not used to seeing at home on a daily basis. Okay, so they start learning the act of socializing, the act of being able to be accommodating, living with, seeing other people, stay in the same space with other people. So adjusting them to school becomes easier. Okay, maybe when now you're taking the child to a daycare from the age of 2, they will stay in that daycare for like 1 year, and then now they go into school. So when they now start going to school, it's like their body they have already adjusted, to the system of school because of the daycare. So that becomes an advantage. Okay, yes. And then now when they are joining school, it's not something new as compared to a child who just came fresh from home and is joining school. If you compare that child with a child who has come from a daycare to join in school, there's always a difference, because this one that has come from daycare has already mastered some of these things, because there's not so much difference between the daycare and the play group in the main school. The only difference there, I think, is because in the main school, they start now official learning. They start introducing to them some learning activities. But in a daycare, is purely playing and playtime activities and sleeping and all of those. Okay, yeah, but that child is more advantaged than a child who has just come from the house, has not interacted with most other children and all of those. Okay, and so you find that any child probably who has not gone to a daycare, one of the things that a wise parent would do is to allow the child to interact with children in the compound where they live in. So you let them go outside to play, they get to play with other children so that they start learning the act of socializing. By the time they're starting to go to school, it doesn't become a problem. But a child who is always closed inside the house will have a problem interacting with other children when they start going to school, compared to a child who was allowed to play outdoor with other children in the compound, or a child who was taken to a daycare. All right, so those are the advantages. So if you I just wanted to bring my own view on this, my own opinion on this. Daycares is a beautiful platform that helps to bridge that gap between a child who maybe a baby, who is less than 3 years old and not able to go to school as per the school system, of the country. Because in Kenya, the school system admits from 3 years. In fact, it's 4 years. But because of the play group class, 3 years can be admitted. There's a class for someone who is 3 years old, but lower than that, there is no class. So now the daycare comes in to help that. So for that, the daycare is doing a fantastic job, at least helping parents to still be able to have options, because sometimes you don't want to have a nanny, or you're having a hard time having a nanny. So you can have a daycare to leave your child there, run your errands, go to work and all of that as you sort yourself out for a more long-term solution, right? Yeah, so that daycare is doing a fantastic job to just make it easy for parents to still be able to parent their children and still have some flexibility. But for me personally, I would say if I was to encourage someone regarding daycare and the age they should start introducing their child to daycare, I would say from 2 years is safer. From 2 years is safer. Let the immune system of your child build. Let them even being able to understand what it means by socializing, because that's what daycare basically does. It helps them to socialize with other children. So let them even understand their environment, begin to understand their environment. A child who is 1 year old is still learning a lot, still not really knowing what is happening around him or her. So dumping them in a daycare, I don't think it will be helping them much. But from 2 years, they are now beginning to be more aware of their environment. Taking them to a daycare, they won't cry much. Yeah, they would cry maybe the first few days, but after some time, they just gel in. Like they will just fit in. They will find something to do. They will find a friend to talk to. They will find what interests them and all of that. But a 1 year old, that's a baby. Few months old, doesn't even understand what is happening. So for me, I feel like it's a waste of time taking such a child to a daycare. Yeah, so the best age I would advocate as a child care specialist will be from 2 years old. Yeah, if the child can be home, that will be fine. If you can have a nanny stay with the child at home, I think that for me would be best, at least for the meantime, until the baby is old enough to be able to understand what it feels like or what it means to start going to school and interacting with other children and all of those. Okay, yeah, so that's what I wanted to share with you guys today. I hope that this has helped in one way or the other. Let me know in the comment section. I would love to read from you guys. I would love to interact with you. Thank you, Vilam, for saying hi. I appreciate you. Thank you so much for joining my live session. Thank you so much for every one of you who has made it to this live session. Thank you. I see you and I appreciate you. Thank you so much and God bless you. I don't know if anyone has a contribution, anyone has something to say about daycare. Let me know your own view on it. What do you think? Okay, if given a choice, would you take a child, to daycare, and at what age would you prefer to take your child to a daycare? I know sometimes some parents actually do it because they don't have any other option. You've looked at all the options available for you and you feel like a daycare is safer for your child at that particular season of your life. Don't feel hard, don't feel judged if that's what you feel honestly, that's what you feel is going to work at that season of your life, because we all have different seasons, different things work for us, right? So whatever works for you at that season, then do it. But if you can avoid taking a child who is younger than 2 years old to a daycare and have them being nurtured for and groomed at home, I would prefer that. I would advise that because of one issue, one main reason: their immune system. Their immune system. I've interacted with a few parents, and one of the things that always stand out when that parent, if that parent has already introduced their child to a daycare, is they're always treating one sickness or the other. One sickness or the other. This could be avoided if the child was just at home, being cared for exclusively. Yeah, so that's the major disadvantage, according to me, of a daycare. Okay, yeah. So if you can avoid it, have the child at home. But if you can't avoid it because probably your own situation is a bit tight and the daycare seems like the best solution for you at that point, then please feel free. But what I would advise if that's your case is, please, cheap is expensive. Try to at least get a decent daycare for your child. You will be glad you did. At least try and get a decent daycare. If the daycare is like the only option, sorry, the only option that you feel like you have available at that particular time, at least try and get a decent daycare for your child. A decent daycare will do you good. At least you know that your child will be well taken care of. Not to the best that you would have done if it was you taking care of a child, but at least they will be so close to how you would have loved your child to be taken care of. It's a decent place. It's neat. There's so many things that you need to look at. You need to look at the cleanliness of the daycare. You need to look at how the child care staff, how the nannies, they are treating children. You need to look at the kind of food and how those children are being fed. So cleanliness, look at all those things. Check on the decency of that place. Don't just take your child and dump somewhere. Oh, it's cheaper, or for whatever reason. Do your due diligence. Ensure that it's a safe space for your child. Do that due diligence. Check it very well. Assess the place. Ventilation is very important. Sometimes you go to some daycares, it's so dark, it's so stuffy. Everybody, all the children are stuffed into one room. There's no good ventilation. And so you find that bacteria spread so fast in such a space. So check the toilet or the potty that the children are going to be using. How clean is it? Like, what is happening? How is that environment? There are a lot of things you need to check before you take your child to that daycare. You need to do a lot of your due diligence. Please check. Ensure that it's a safe space for your child. It's decent is enough. It's clean enough. The staff there are very professional. They're not just going to be beating or hitting your child or mistreating your child because you're not there. So make sure that there's a lot of professionalism in check. Cleanliness, ventilation. How are they treating children? Are they experienced? It's very important. For you to find such a place, of course, it would cost you some good amount of money compared to others that are probably cheaper. But I would always tell you, cheap is expensive. Invest in a good daycare for the safety of your child. Invest in a good daycare. And if you have if you can have the child just be at home, at least till the child is 2 years old, I think that would also be a best option for you. All right. So I wish you all the best. If you've probably been considering, a daycare option and all of that, I'm hoping that this video has kind of helped in one way or the other to help you to be able to think critically about it as you make that massive decision, because it's actually a very massive decision. Always remember, the safety of your child is much important. Cheap can also be very expensive. So as you make that decision, please make it wisely and for the best interest of your child. Thank you so much for joining me in today's live session. I hope it's been impactful. I hope it's been a blessing to you. Thank you for every one of you who has joined this live session. Thank you for that one person who has liked this video. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. Thank you for that support. God bless you. Thank you for Vilam for saying hi in the chat section. Thank you so much. I appreciate you. God bless you. All right. So now that we don't have more comments, and there's no comments, there's no questions. So I clearly think that the conversation has been clear enough, has been well detailed. Yeah. All right. Thank you so much, guys. I wish you a beautiful week ahead. Today is just Monday. Yeah. So just take it one step at a time. I wish you a beautiful, beautiful, beautiful week ahead. And may God bless you and may He bless the work of your hands and may He protect you and protect your loved ones. And for anyone who is trying to make a decision for their child, I pray that God will give you the wisdom that you need to be able to make the right decision for your child in Jesus' name. Amen. And for someone there who is trusting God for a child, I pray that God will visit you. I pray that God will come through for you and God will grant you the desires of your heart according to His will for your life. In Jesus' name, amen. Thank you so much. I hope to see you by God's grace tomorrow. So please, if you're available at 8 p.m. East African time, join me here and let's have a beautiful, beautiful parenting conversation. All right. Until then, stay safe and take good care of yourself and those blessings that God has given to you, or rather, that God has entrusted you with. Be blessed and have a lovely night.